Hello everyone and welcome back to Ranking Up. It's been a while. Nice to see you. This is a special edition of the podcast because we're currently streaming, as you guys can see from the chat that's going up here. So this is going to be a bit live and least editing. Whoa. Minimal editing, no editing involved. So excuse me if this is a little bit disjointed, but we are going to be talking about today's topic, age. Dun dun dun. In esports.
Empires. Oh. Okay.
I do like Age of Empires. So I'm 28 years old and you are?
27.
27. And we are considered as boomers in gaming, Valorant, esports, in general, this industry, competition. So I get asked a lot of questions from people saying, hey, I'm 21 years old. I want to get into esports, but I feel like it's too late. Like, I feel like I need to get in when I'm 16. 21 is too old. And I'm sat here like, holy shit, you're so young. Like, you don't need to be super, super young to be in this industry. So let's start talking about, I guess, competitive first. You have a teammate who's 16, just turned 17.
Yeah.
You're 10 years older than him.
Yeah.
How do you feel about being one of the oldest players in Valorant?
Being one of the oldest players
I think you're
in
the
Valorant.
fourth oldest person at LAN. It's FNS, then Def.
I don't feel
then
the
Angel,
oldest.
then you.
I think that's the only difference. I forget what age I am all the time, and also I don't feel the oldest, especially when me and my team are doing like athletic stuff. I feel the youngest almost. I feel the most fittest. So, yeah, I don't feel that old when it comes to it, and I don't. In my head, I feel like I'm not 27.
I will say though, we've had this conversation in the past where you've said that you feel anxious about running out of time.
Yeah, not anymore because I'm owning it right now. So that was when I was like not even pro, but now that I've made it pro and I'm setting the bar of like the scene, like, you know, as long as I'm working hard, I can stay up there because of my role. I think right now I'm fine. I got loads of time, I feel like.
But what about back when you did feel like you're running out of time? Because I feel like most people that are watching this are not in your position. Yeah. They're probably in the position you were in before.
Okay. Yeah, so, there was a time where I felt like I was a bit lost and confused and didn't really know what to do. And I felt like my youth was flying away from me. And
so you didn't make it pro until you're 25?
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I was pursuing I was pursuing that dream for at least 6 or 7 years. 7 years roughly. So it was like throughout childhood, obviously I was playing video games and then started getting good. And then I was like, I want to try and go pro when I was like 19, 18, kind of thing. And I was trying to, and like, yeah, it felt like every year was another slogfest. I was slowly getting better, but it felt like I wasn't getting to the point where I just needed a chance or I needed someone to give me a break. And I wasn't good enough to demand that break myself. I wasn't like a star player, but I felt like I was a decent enough player with high work ethic that could do, if I get there, I can stay there kind of thing. So kind of like what I'm doing in Valorant right now. So I'm just very fortunate timing wise that Valorant came out when it did, because I was at that point I was trying to pursue a career in League of Legends prodom, because I was like, there's no way I'm gonna make it pro in CS, but League of Legends, I played MOBA games when I was a kid growing up. Like, I can make this, I can do this. So yeah, that was kind of what I was going for.
Do you reckon you would have given up if Valorant never came out?
Honestly, I joke about this, but it was like, go pro or die. I joke about that a lot, but
don't die, guys. Yeah. Don't die if you're trying to go pro right now.
But that was just I had no idea what else I wanted to do in life. Like, I was trying. I knew I wanted to be in esports of some sort, and I knew I wanted to be competing. I just didn't know how to get there. And then after that, I was like, I have zero backup plan. Like, I didn't go to uni. All I've wanted to do my whole career was actually just be a pro player and compete, and I wasn't even sure what to do afterwards. I'm sure I would have found something, you know. The type of character I am is like, I'm very on the fly, kind of chill.
Adaptable,
yeah, I guess so. So like, obviously I went and become a vlogger, and I was like doing that for a bit, but it didn't really what's the word, satisfy. You will never be satisfied. Anyway, yeah, I just felt like that. And then I'm sure, like, had I not gone pro, I would have found something else I would have been interested in eventually.
But I don't think you would have been happy
No, because
I
I
think
like
you in the
gaming too much.
in the back of your head, you'd always be thinking, I should have put more time into going pro, right? Do you think it's realistic then? Because you're probably one of the only people I know that went pro at 25. Because I mean, Alpha went pro when he's 16, and like all these players in Valorant coming up, 16 Zekken, Durka's only 19.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it's realistic, like for all of the people that want to go pro, maybe over the age of 25 right now, to try and go pro?
The way that I say it is, if you have to, once you reach a certain level where you're good enough anyway, you're able to kind of criticize yourself and actually be like, am I good enough? Whereabouts would I stand amongst teams, players in the industry? And as long as you feel like you have the talent and you work hard and you have the time and the money to like kind of put that work in, then you have to be kind of smart with your decision making, because you don't really want to be going back at that point, because you are running out. It does feel like you are running out of time, and even though it feels like that, it's not necessarily true, but it is true in a little bit as well. Like, I won't say it's not true. Like, you can grind until you're 35, but the only difference is with being pro is that once you're pro, you actually start losing that drive that you had when you really wanted to go pro. So
Do you feel like you've lost that drive?
not really. I haven't won anything yet, so I'm still kind of going for it. But I've seen loads of players who kind of, they make it, and it's kind of like relief. Okay, now I can relax a little. But once you
Buy
make
my
it,
Rolex,
yeah,
not care about the game anymore.
yeah, once you relax is when you start the downhill trend. So it's honestly like, once you've made it, it's actually not finally. It's actually like, I've made it, now let's really set the scene, set the bar. And I think that's what it is. And I think with Valorant, it was a lot easier to get involved in the scene because it was new. Like, there was no cliques, there was no like. There wasn't really.
There was kind of like the Prodigy clique. I would say, like, if you were signed to Prodigy, the agency, then you would get a team back in the beginning.
Oh yeah, but
it was kind of like, if you weren't Prodigy, then you weren't getting signed to a pro team. That was quite a scary time.
They had that thing, yeah. But I think, yeah, they did have that kind of trend going on. But then I think with me, I just made my own, and we grinded. I picked random players and whatnot. So I think it's more difficult now to do that, because obviously the game is less open field. The teams have already been established. The scene has been developing all this time throughout years. Like my I've been IGLing for a year and a half, 2 years now, and it's obviously it's gotten better. So I think it's like, yeah, it's essentially you're playing catch up like I was with the Counter-Strike teams. However, it is a lot easier in this game right now because it's not as established as the Counter-Strike scene was. And I think the way that the tournaments run with Europe and like international events and whatnot, you do have your opportunities to kind of break through, I think.
Also, Rockers Roku said it's been 0 days since Sentinels has been referenced on your stream. That wasn't a Zoms reference. I can see why that felt like a Zoms reference, but I just meant like.
Oh, it wasn't?
No. It wasn't a Zoms reference. I like Zoms too much to say to do that to him. It was more of like players that make it. They buy their watches, they buy their cars, they start like flexing. It's the same as influencers.
Money. Yeah.
Like influencers that make it, the minute they start flexing is like the minute they start going down. But I think Zom's brand is amazing. That's another podcast. I would love to dissect other players' brands for us to talk about. As someone that's been there during the times where you wanted to go pro, all the way from League of Legends. I wasn't there when you wanted to go pro in CS, but I was there for League and I was there for Valorant. And I definitely remember the periods of you stressing because you thought you were going to run out of time. You were like, and money. Because you were like, I've only got this amount of money left in my savings. And if I don't get signed or I don't start making it pro and competing for the big trophies, then I would have to give up my dream. I remember that happening, which was quite scary. But I think self-belief is important. Like believing that that you're going to make it. Because remember, people didn't want to pick you up in the beginning.
No, they didn't. They didn't want a Jet superstar.
Do you not remember when you got kicked from... what's that team? They didn't like your strats. They didn't want strats. They didn't want to play Viper. They didn't want to play Viper.
Atomic something.
No, absolute legends.
Absolute
Absolute legends. I remember, so Jake wanted to play Viper on Bind, and he had all these strats, and they didn't want him to. So then you got kicked.
Yeah.
And then you became the Viper Bind team and won everything. Not won everything, came second at everything.
Well, we needed a Viper buff
Yeah, true.
because it was the Viper wasn't that strong. But once the Viper got buffed,
But your
I
strats were
was way
strong.
ahead of the curve.
Yeah, because you already had all the walls and
I
spits
was
and
already
lineups.
Yeah.
That was an
Or
interesting
just the
period.
idea. I already play tested all these ideas beforehand, so I kind of knew what Viper was about.
That was interesting. I guess I'll talk about my line of work a little bit because
Yeah, go
people do ask me, can I have a sip of water real quick?
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you.
getting hot in here. Summer. Someone's comment cracked me up. Bo's about to show up with 2 pans after winning Masters.
Double pan, just like playing table tennis.
Mm.
Boom, boom. I'll talk about my line of work because people ask me this a lot. Like, how do I become a talent? How do I become a caster? Is it too late to become a caster? And my question is always, age doesn't really matter in my line of work.
No, I don't think so.
I'm actually one of the youngest people. Actually, no, not the youngest. I'm in the middle. I'm probably average age-wise in terms of Valorant talent. I think I'm in the middle. All of the best Valorant talent, like your Pansy, your Hypok, Sideshow, Brand, Sean, DDK, all these people are considered boomers that, like, as in they're older than 25. I think only Mitch is 25. No, Mitch is 24. Kakuka just turned 25. Lothar's 37. Mimi is obviously one of the youngest, and she's incredible. But I do think in order to be like a talent, age, for me at least, has not been an issue. I think almost the older you are, the better you are, actually, because you have more experience in front of a camera, in writing scripts, in kind of practicing how to cast, in just having a wider vocabulary. So I think if you actually want to go pro, if you actually want to become a caster or a host or a talent, I don't think you should be discouraged if you don't make it at the age of 21.
I also think you should be doing it now because the talent pool isn't fully established.
Yeah,
yet in this game.
Valorant, it's a good time to be a Valorant talent now. I think,
There's still
like you said,
opportunities.
there are loads of opportunities. And again, we both got kind of lucky with each other, as in I got into Valorant talent in the beta. Like during the beta, that's when I got involved. And I grind. People forget how much I grind because I got picked up quite early. But I grinded so much. I was doing like interviews, written interviews, video interviews, covering events, doing hosting in like university leagues. I was staying up till like 6 in the morning doing NA, like smaller NA
remember
cups,
that
game
time.
changers, first strike NA qualifiers, open qualifiers. Like I did so much during the beta and all the way till the game came out.
And you reached out to those people, didn't you?
I DM'd about, I went on Wikipedia, sorted events by date, and I just clicked on every single tournament organizer, found their producer and found their like marketing person and their Twitter on Twitter, and I DM'd every single person. I would say 10% of those people replied to me. And out of those 10%, probably 1% gave me a chance, like if that. Everybody ignored me at that time. Nobody wanted me to do any of the Ignition series. Nobody, which is fair enough because I wasn't established. So like, why would they pick me up? So I grinded quite hard through that time. And at the time, I had a very different mindset to you. Yours was very much like, if I don't make it now, it's going to be so tough for me to make it later because of my age. I'm going to run out of time and money. Whereas for me, I was
Money was the big one for me.
Yeah, money was the big point for you. Whereas for me, I already had a pretty stable job, freelancing and doing stuff for Sky, producing football. So for me, it was more like, I'm in it for the long run. Like, I know I'm gonna have to be grinding for years. Like, I'm gonna be here for a long time. I'm ready for it. If I don't make it this year, that's okay. I'm gonna make it next year. If I don't make it next year, that's okay. I'm gonna make it the year after. I'm just gonna keep going until I make it. So I think we had a little bit of a difference when it came to that. But I do think, like I said, some of the best talent right now I work with are older than me, and they teach me a lot of stuff. And I think it actually helps you to be a little bit older. I think you have a better work ethic, especially for talent stuff, because it's hard. It's a lot of hard work. And also I feel like,
if you want to be good, it's hard work.
yeah. And I think you know what you want by then. Because I think a lot of younger talent, they're not 100% sure yet. Do you want to be a host? Do you want to be a caster? Do you want to be an analyst? Do you want to be an observer? Like whatever else there is. Whereas when you're a little bit older, when you get to like my age, which I'm 28, again, chat are asking, I know what I want. I like interviews and I like hosting. I probably could be an analyst if I wanted to transition, but I don't really want to right now. And I definitely cannot be a caster. So I can like almost hone in on like two things and just dedicate all my time to it and just grind my ass off, which I think is a luxury that maybe some younger people don't. But I think you can get into esports at any age, in my opinion. I think there's a misconception that you have to be 16 in order to make it. I didn't start grinding in esports until I was 24. So I started when I was 24.
You just got to have no real life problems.
No, actually I started when I was 23. Yeah. I started when I was 23. I think us being in a stable relationship really helped during Valorant because we talk about Valorant so much in private.
Well, we just understood each other. So when I said I'm going to go play Valorant tonight, I'm not going to hang out with you. You're like, yeah, okay, I'll go play Valorant or do something to do with Valorant or go chill myself. So it just meant that
it was easier to manage those goals that we had because we had each other.
And they understood each other.
How was MSI appearance and was it your first time? Yeah, MSI was a real dream come true for me. A real dream come true. So I started in esports in League of Legends as a interviewer for like written publications and stuff. And I started in 2018. And League of Legends was the goal at the time for me to become a full-time League of Legends reporter. Over the years, that dream did eventually come true. I interviewed a lot of people. I never interviewed Faker, but I did meet Faker one time. And getting the MSI offer was... Yeah, getting the MSI offer meant a lot to me because at the time, I had some confidence issues. Like, I didn't feel like I was good enough in Valorant, and I didn't feel like I was being appreciated or treated the way that I wanted to be appreciated and treated. I just felt like I was so stuck in, I didn't know how to get better, basically. I kind of reached a point in Valorant where I was pretty satisfied with my own performance and I was still grinding and I was still putting the work in, but I didn't know how to get better. And I was really down about like my own performance and my own confidence. And I was like getting help from other casters as well to try and help me get better. But I didn't know what else to do. And then I got the MSI gig. And to me, that was like, I remember I was feeling like, wow, like maybe I'm not as bad as I thought I was. Maybe, I am
I'm going to come back to Valorant with the stuff I've learned and own it.
I think I did, honestly. I went to MSI and I had a notebook with me and I just followed all the talent around MSI, just like learning, writing stuff down, getting ideas, like just absorbing everything around me like a sponge. And then I came back to Valorant. I think if you guys go watch week 3 when I came back, I felt like I did the best Valorant work I ever did. And playoffs week 2, I was so on it. I felt like I was so on it because I needed to maybe get out of that environment to actually see if I was good enough. But Valorant is hard, like you said, because it's not established yet. There's still a lot of unknowns. So for me, I was really stressed about stability of my job and whether I was going to be able to be hired for the next event. So for example, I get hired probably 2 weeks before an event starts and not longer than that. So for season 2, I didn't get hired until 2 weeks before it started. And for playoffs, it's the same. I don't get my playoffs dates until like the week before or 2 weeks before. So there's always a chance that I'm not going to get hired. And I was a bit scared about it. I still think it sometimes scares me because it's hard to not know if you're good enough to come back. But at least for the rest of this year, for Masters, that was really big for me to get offered that.
Yeah, that's a big one.
That was a really big one for Copenhagen because I wasn't sure, guys. At the time, I was really nervous about whether I was going to get it. But now I got it.
We took turns at events.
Yeah. Normally, we did go together for Iceland.
Yeah, at the end.
But normally you go to one and then I go to one and then you go to one, then I go to one, or we go together. Did either of you have to deal with imposter syndrome? It's the opposite, blunt ignorance. Thank you for the question. I felt the opposite. So an imposter syndrome is when you feel like your success, you don't deserve the success you're getting. Like you're an imposter. Like you're not actually as good as people think you are. Whereas I felt the opposite. I felt like I knew,
Kanye effect.
Yeah, I knew that I was good enough and I knew that I was doing well, but other people didn't, or I felt like other people didn't see me that way.
That's how I felt too.
Yeah, I had a lot of self-belief. I was like, I know I'm good enough. I know I can do this. but a lot of other people didn't agree with me.
And it's what I said earlier. It's what I always say is that if you reach a certain skill level, you're able to evaluate yourself. And if you evaluate yourself, for me as a pro player, I can evaluate myself and see where I'm at and see if I'm good enough. And as long as I believe I'm good enough, then I will stay in the scene and keep grinding, keep working hard. Even if I believe I'm not good enough, I will still keep grinding hard. But I don't think I'm not good enough because I'm good enough to see what my skill level is at. It's really weird.
No, it's like, you can tell what's good and what's not.
I think it's like any profession. When I was a dancer, I could see like the levels. I could see everyone's different technique levels. Or if someone was a carpenter, he'd see like the different levels of someone else's carpentry. And I think that's how you got to think, is like once you hit a certain level of skill, whatever you do, you can evaluate.
The thing is, you and I have very different barriers. So your barriers is very much about opportunity. Like there's not many opportunities. If you even think about it, how many top teams there are in esports?
I was thinking
in Valorant.
Yeah, I was thinking about how hard it would be now for someone to get noticed.
Well, Alpha, I think, got somewhat lucky because he did so well in Turkey.
Yeah,
he did so well.
But the thing about Alpha is that he is a what's the word?
Flex.
No, he's like a one in.
Oh, a wonder child.
Yeah, he's like a
special.
Yeah, he's just special. So
one in a million.
Unfortunately, not everyone is gonna have that kind of talent where it comes to like, even if you're in a team that isn't winning, you're still putting up high numbers. As soon as you spot anyone that's doing that in a scene where they're not winning every game and they're in an okay scene, they're definitely one to kind of think about and be like, this kid is good enough. And I think it's really difficult to showcase your ability if you're losing a lot or whatnot. But the talented ones do creep through. This, like, I say this, but the Smooyers of the UK scene back in Counter-Strike, like he obviously... And the Def. Yeah, those two were like definitely a lot more... Yeah, they were a lot more kind of showcasing their ability more than I was. And obviously it's obvious that they get given the chance, despite me thinking that I was on the same level as them, but I just didn't have that kind of...
You need luck sometimes.
That wow factor,
you need luck too.
The thing is, with me, it was about work ethic. I was always hard worker, but like that doesn't show all the time. So
that's why you're an IGL now.
Yeah,
you got to do the hard work, and everyone else takes your credit.
Well, I quite like doing it. It's like built in.
Yeah, but at the same time, sometimes you come to me and you're like, oh, I wish I got more credit for X, Y, or Z.
Yeah, but then again, I do say that, yeah. But then at the same time, I'm like, I get credit for other stuff too. So it like kind of...
You're like a twerking.
Yeah, exactly. So like, it's not like I'm not getting any credit. If I wasn't getting any credit at all, then I'd be like, oh...
Annoyed, yeah.
Yeah, what's going on?
I do think your barriers are very different from my barriers. I think my barriers... Even now, I'm fighting the same barriers. Your barriers is like, you don't have opportunities. And once you can find an opportunity, you have enough self-belief and skill and work ethic to make it. Like, Sliggy always says that he always knew you were going to make it. He said to me, like, even 2 years ago when Valorant first came out, he was like, I know Boaster will make it. You just need a break kind of thing. Whereas for me, I think I have a lot of barriers when it comes to, like, sexism or racism or discrimination, that even if I am good enough and I have an opportunity and I smash that opportunity and I continue to work hard, sometimes the things I just mentioned can get in the way of my success, which is, I think, the hardest thing I've ever had to deal with, for sure. I think not having opportunities and stuff, it doesn't bother me because I will just find opportunities. I will just make sure I find something. Yeah. And I always believed I was going to make it. But I think once I did make it, and having those barriers in the way of me growing or getting better, even like rates, like salaries, that kind of stuff, was a really, really hard battle, because I have no idea how to fight those things. I do now. I have some idea now, but definitely when I first started, I was like, how do I fight just like discrimination or not being hired because I'm a girl, you know, all that kind of stuff, which I feel like is not, you have the luxury of not having to think about.
Right, it's true. I didn't really think about it even until I was with you, really.
Yeah, I think now you've witnessed it firsthand with me.
Yeah, it's very shitty.
Yeah. But yeah, if you are a talent, again, like trying to make it, and maybe you're a similar position as me, hang in there. I know exactly what you're going through. There are ways to make life a little bit better and more fair and so on. But it's definitely something I feel like we have to be upfront about. It's not all like glitz and glamour and amazing once you're there. There's still definitely a lot of barriers you have to get over. Someone asked me, what exactly does your grind mean? It's for me, it's a lot of watching and making notes and writing, and so I watch a ton of what other hosts do and other interviews do, and I study them. I also try and widen my vocabulary, and I also watch Valorant, like fucking a lot of Valorant, and also play a lot of Valorant. You got to do everything basically, in my opinion, to get better. Having a really good relationship with my analysts too always helps, like knowing what they like, what they're like, how they like to be fed questions, how their brain works, learning about players, not just what they do on the server, but off the server, like what they're like, what they're like in interviews, how they like you to speak to you, how they would like me to speak to them even. Because every player is different. Like when I interview, for example, Redgar, I know with Redgar we can be very casual. We can be extremely casual because I know Redgar well enough by now. I've watched enough of his interviews. I've interviewed him enough. I watched enough of his games. I've met him in real life. So when I go into an interview with Redgar, I know my lines, my boundaries, and how to make it really friendly and like interesting. And I know I can ask him really hard-hitting questions and he would be fine with it. But when I go in an interview with someone else, Nats, for example, again, someone I know super well, Nats is less open with that kind of stuff, but he's very dry. So you can ask him stuff that makes him come across as he's funny, because he is very funny, but he is also very dry and he's very aloof with his attitude. So not every interview is the same. Yeah. You have to tailor yourself in your tone, in your questions, and in how the conversation flows to every single player, which comes with time. And if I never interviewed someone before, I usually watch their interview with someone else to see what they're like, or I try and gauge what they are like as a person, like social media, that kind of stuff, and try and make them more comfortable. It is a hit and miss. I have missed a few times. I have done a few interviews where I've been very unhappy about. That's the other thing. VOD review. You got to VOD review yourself. I watch myself back as much as I hate the sound of my voice, and I know it's really awkward for you guys if you ever have to watch yourself back, but you have to. Like my YouTube interviews, I watch it back like 6-7 times before I upload it. I like want to make sure that it's fine, it's good content before I upload it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot of hard work.
Yeah, you have to.
Hard work, grinding.
Did you have hosts that you were looking up to? Yes, Shocks. Big time. Shocks and Machine, back when I started, Machine was still a host, not a full-time caster. But Shocks and Machine were my two big ones that I really looked into. And Quickshot, I do kind of try and steal his energy and vocab as well. He has a really good way of hosting. Whenever Quickshot is hosting, he's telling a story. He's like taking you on a journey. And that's kind of what I try and channel for sure. There's so much work goes on behind VCT shows. Yeah, I do put a lot of work in. I like producing them.
In the morning.
Yeah,
in the morning, grinding.
I wake
she has
up
to put her makeup on.
Honestly, my call times are like 12:50 or some stuff, but I will wake up at like 8:30 to start on the show myself. Like I will write the show, and then I will take the show that I've written to my analyst and my producer and get them to input ideas and stuff. But I would usually be the one that do it. 'Cause I like doing it. It's not like I'm not forced to do anything. A lot of hosts don't do that, but for me, I like having that preparation. Yeah, preparation is like 99% of everything.
And that's essentially what, before the big games, I'm also preparing as well.
Yeah, your preparation is really similar to in me in a way that you like to prep loads.
From what I gather from other interviews, I don't think other teams' preparation is that top priority right now.
I mean, I didn't even realize. I thought every team did server time, and I found out last weekend that some teams don't, and it blew my mind. Like some teams just dry run stuff and then just going straight into scrims. They don't have like the blocked out server time that you do.
Yeah, I mean,
which is crazy to me because you have so many hours of server time every day.
yeah.
Yeah. We're gonna answer some more questions. Do you edit yourself? Yes, I do. I do edit myself.
She got Adobe.
Sorry, I exposed your I exposed your Hinge profile earlier because someone
Oh my
asked.
goodness, I didn't even know I had that.
You sent it to me when we first started talking.
Oh, was it funny? Did it get lots
It
of
was
laughs?
funny. Everyone was spamming like KEKW in chat. We have a few questions from the Discord. If you want to ask us some questions, make sure to join the Discord and we can answer them.
Oh, it's so hot.
Do you want to ice pop?
No.
It will cool you
I
down.
just had a blooming ice cream.
Okay, we
Sugar
have a
overload.
question. First question is from Super Devic7. How do you recover from a round/game that you lost and manage to keep your mental up?
So I think this is one thing, since we're keeping on the topic of age, one thing that age does help with is that you kind of had these, I guess you're just a bit more mature at dealing with things faster. And I think that's why I've taken up the leadership role as well, is because when stuff happens when you're younger, the emotions kind of take control of it, and then you learn from it in your game after game after game. But when you're older, you've already been through all of that kind of stuff of learning how to recover from a round or a game. So it's all about just kind of resetting, and the series isn't actually over. So it's just like
Experience.
like I lost a big clutch versus Coldamenta on that bind
I
map
remember that.
in the smoke, and I was like, I could have swung out. I mistimed it mainly because he only had like 10 bullets in his ammo. Yeah, I could have played it a bit better, I think, because I knew where he was. But as soon as I lost that round, I was like, I lost. Oh well, next round. Because there's nothing you can do, and it goes with real life as well. Once something is done, there's nothing you can do about it.
Control.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, One Direction.
Waking up.
So it's just about kind of keep learning and improving.
I also will say for every clutch that you lose, you tend to win like 5. It's like the ratio is really good. You always win more clutches than you lose.
It's not 5. It's more like
No.
50, right?
You've won some sexy clutches. Now, Feisty's asked a whole bunch of questions, but which we've briefly touched on already. But one question I feel like people do ask quite a lot, and I think is interesting to talk about, is thoughts on what it's like to be esports famous. Because we both were dating way before either of us were successful, and we kind of did this journey together of growing. And I would say that the moment I realized that you were esports famous is when people were stopping you like randomly in the middle of London to take a picture.
It's only happened like 3 times.
It's 4 times now.
4?
Yeah.
Really?
1 time without me and 4 times with me.
Really?
Yeah.
I just remember that. Anyway, yeah.
Switzerland, Chinatown, the Korean barbecue place we went to, the guy on the bike on the tube with
That's
you.
4, yeah.
Yeah. And one time outside our house.
That was you, then.
And also one time in Berlin when I went for dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think with that kind of esports thing, I don't even consider myself esports famous, really.
I think you are.
No.
I think you are, because people that I don't know, people that I meet that I kind of are aware of, or they're aware of me, always know who you are.
I consider myself
Always.
Valorant famous, obviously, because we attend every international event. But I think it's all right. I mean, we're not at the danger factor yet, I don't think. Like, once you get to another level of, like, famous, then I think you have to be a bit concerned for your safety at times.
That's definitely...
That's one thing that needs to be considered. I don't think we're there yet, and especially in the UK as well, because we're kind of chilling in the UK. It's not as popular, esports and whatnot, but maybe if we're in other countries, it might be a consideration.
Sean Guest told me that when he goes out in LA, I think he lives in, he always gets recognized, like, on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Which to me feels, like, insane.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to live that way.
Yeah, I actually don't mind it right now, because it's once
It's
in a
rare,
blue moon,
yeah.
and it's just like, hey, bro, so I'm like, oh,
The
hello.
Switzerland one really threw me off. Because we were on
that was
holiday.
funny.
We were literally in vacation in a town that had a population of 3,000 people.
You were telling me I was cheating.
Yeah, you were cheating
I
in a
was
game we were
not
playing.
cheating.
We were playing a deck building game and he was cheating. But
I
anyway,
wasn't. I just owned your wares.
we were in the middle of like an argument because I was accusing him of cheating, and then someone came up to us and was like, "Are you Boaster?" I was like, "The fuck? We're in the middle. We're on
Yeah, I was
vacation."
like, hold on, mate. We're in the middle of a fucking argument.
But it
right
was his
now.
whole family started taking photos from you.
Yeah, it was
like
funny.
it was like 5 people taking
He's
photos
from
of
Singapore.
you. Yeah.
I think.
He was really sweet, and it was just random because we were in the middle of Switzerland in a mountain.
Yeah.
And someone came up to you was like, is that Boaster? I was like, in what world
That
is
was
someone going to recognize you? We're on
one
vacation.
of the most fun things you can do, chat, is go somewhere with a snowy mountain and do a hike. Oh my goodness.
We nearly died.
It's comical.
We actually nearly died. I saw my life flash before my eyes. We nearly died that day.
I had my blooming Nike shoes on, the worst footwear for moving in the ice.
Yeah.
She had her mountain climber kind of shoes on.
We were climbing a mountain that had a cliff next to us.
And we thought her shoes would be sticking, but she was sliding everywhere. So I was like, babe, look, I don't trust you to walk in this. You need to sit down and just slide on your bum the whole way down.
We put gloves on and we slid across ice
so
on our
I was
asses.
just making sure she was sliding down. It was so funny.
There was a woman that nearly died.
Yeah, oh my goodness, that woman almost fell off the edge. I am telling you now. I know we've gone off on a detour, but I remember thinking she was coming up the way we just went down. I was like, oh my goodness, she's in for a blooming...
It was also snowing at the same time.
And it was like she was trying to speed run it. It was like watching those speed runners in video games, like just hopping around. And she was like running across the ice and she had normal shoes on. And I just remember like looking back, a bit concerned for her because she was like, she stood still because she was thinking about how she was going to do it. And I looked back and I remember she just turns around and she starts going downhill running. And I'm like, she's running on a ice, the lunatic, and she runs across my view.
Solid ice.
And the cliff edge is literally here. She runs down, loses control, and the tree is here. She grabs onto the tree and then swings round. I was thinking, oh my goodness, I almost witnessed a fucking death in these mountains. I was like, babe, we need to get off these mountains. And I was like, get on your ass, let's go.
We had to take a cable car to the top of this mountain, and we could either take the cable car back down or go to the next stop for the cable car, and it was a 2.5 hour walk.
Yeah, I was like, we're walking, babe.
And we walked on our asses for 2.5 hours.
Yeah, it was funny.
It was fucking crazy. That was a good day.
Anyway.
Okay, next question.
So yeah, about being esports famous. Don't get recognised on mountains, at least.
Next question. This one's for Yinsu. Where do you get inspiration for all your outfits? This is also from Super Devic7. Where do you get your inspirations for all your fancy outfits? Like
she gets them from me.
We saw during Masters 1. And Masters, I usually get dressed by our stylists, Amina and Christina. They're incredible. They make clothes for me, which is fucking insane. And I give them some of my wardrobe, and they take their own wardrobe, and we combine everything, and it becomes like a super wardrobe. But I love fashion. We're actually thinking of starting a fashion line. Don't say the name that you have in mind, just in case we go for it. But we're thinking of starting a fashion brand. Yeah. We're thinking of making some actual clothes, not merch, but like actual clothes that we wear that you might want to wear as well, because people keep asking me where I get all my clothes from. So we might as well just design our own clothes. Yeah. Next question is from Marin Kitgawa. It's Mary. Next question is from Mary. How often has Boaster implemented a strat he saw in a ranked game? Great question, Mary.
Not a lot. Not a lot, really. Some ideas come from ranked, but it's not necessarily strats. It's actually stuff I do try in ranked, and I'm like, let's just go here and see what it looks like, because I've seen it in a VOD and I wanted to really test it out. Or it's generally like I test agents out in ranked, and I'm like seeing if I'm comfortable on that agent, then I'm like, if it's comfortable on defense, then I can make anything work on attack side. So that's generally how I kind of view ranked. It's about testing out agents, and then if I do have something in mind, like just do something super simple, I will test that out too. But that's pretty much it.
Next question is from Joseph. What's it like behind the scenes of an important LAN tournament? I'd say it's pretty crazy. There's a lot of stuff going on, like constantly. Hopefully you can make it to a LAN to see it for yourself, but there's a lot of people, a lot of manpower, a lot of people that work behind the scenes to make things happen. And it is such a nice atmosphere. Like, one of the reasons that I never want to miss out on a LAN, and I know you're the same, is like missing out on the atmosphere. Like meeting friends, like meeting people you haven't seen in ages. Like,
that's my favorite bit.
It's very, very buzzy. Yeah, I like it a lot.
And media day.
Yeah, media day is always fun for you. What is the reason there is no female players in the pro scenes besides game changers? Coming from Liu. Skr. I think there's way more female players in Valorant than there are in other games. I feel like. Sure. Like, if you go to League of Legends, there's barely any infrastructure for female players to break through. There's like a few. But handful.
I
Like
don't know any.
really handful.
I only know Pokimane played League of Legends.
She's actually the reason. She was actually one of the first people that I watched on Twitch because she played League of Legends. I think Valorant's actually in a pretty good spot when it comes to female representation competitively. I hope it gets better. I hope the Game Changers LAN is really good, and I think it's probably the best thing that's happened for the next generation of Valorant players, because in the past, for example, we had like Zaz and Giuliano, Mimi, like all these insane players come over from CSGO that won everything in CS that want to come over and play Valorant. I think that is going to happen with other CSGO players, but for the next generation, I think there'll be 14, 15-year-old girls watching them wanting to go pro in Valorant, which I think is the most important thing. I don't think most girls grow up wanting to be pro players. I don't think most guys grow up to want to be a pro players, but there's definitely more men than women.
I think it's just your lifetime it takes you there. You just suddenly play video games and then you suddenly get good.
But I think even then, you have the luxury of wanting to go pro, but you can because you're a dude. Girls did not have that opportunity. That did not exist for us.
I think they're probably like 20 years behind.
Yeah, exactly. But that's why I think Game Changers and stuff is going to be insane for the next generation.
Especially because they actually go into an international event. That would be fun.
Next question is from Sado. He asked a few, so I'm just going to pick one. How much do you think mental matters compared to mechanics?
A lot. I think if you can have all the mechanics in the world, but if you're not confident and you're like getting in your own head, you're not going to perform as well. Like Dirk has got undeniable confidence when he plays. Like whatever he does, whenever he swings, is with confidence, and that is why he's one of the best players in the world. It's because he never has doubts. He knows he's good. He knows where he's at, and he will swing and he will kill. Whereas for me, for instance, I have hot and cold moments sometimes where I overthink and I'm like, I should be doing this, should be doing that. I would have hit that shot back in the day or something like that. I'm not like that anymore, to be fair. I've kind of learned from those mistakes. Because as soon as you start kind of thinking about the negative stuff or the things you could have done or you used to be able to do, you don't really live in the present moment anymore, and you'll die a lot more. You'll only focus on your death. So it's really important with mental, like keeping it as healthy as possible, going to the gym, nutrition. I think they do actually help. Like ever since I've been going to the gym, I've been a lot happier when it comes to Valorant, at least. Having
stable relationships really help.
Yeah, that's true.
I think not in a romantic way, but just having stable friendships, if it's romantic, that's great. I just think because there's a lot of people that have so much struggle in their real life that sometimes they can be toxic in game, which is not their fault. They just like grew up in a toxic environment, or they don't have much support, or they surround themselves with toxic people. And I think a lot of those people don't make it. I think there's a lot of insanely talented players. I'm going to name one because I do just feel like it's such a fucking shame that he is known as toxic. Kreagon is a talented player. Like, he has what it takes mechanically to be in a tier 1 team. He was in a tier 1 team and he did pretty well. But everybody knows him as a toxic person. So I don't even think he's competing in Valorant anymore. Like, he's not really getting picked up. You don't want to be the person that nobody wants to play with. You want to be the person that if you're a free agent, even if you're not like the best duelist or the best fragger, that people want to try you and they want to give you a chance because they know you work hard and you're a good person. I think that's so important because a lot of people just think about the now. They don't think about the future. You're not going to be a fanatic forever. You might be a fanatic forever, but if one day you're not a fanatic, I'm very confident that plenty of people want to play with you. Baby Bay said he wants to play with you. But
do I want to play with anyone? No.
Yeah, you do. You will want to play with Baby Bay.
I play with myself.
Gross.
Oh, not like that.
But it's the same as talent. Like, you don't want to be the caster that nobody wants to work with because that's not going to get you jobs. Because even if you do get hired and everybody doesn't want to work with you, that's going to be a problem. Same as being a pro player.
Contacts are important. Connections. Yeah. It's like real life, really. Just you play video games instead. You got raided, by the way.
Thank you for the raid, Yasmin.
Raiding during the podcast.
Oh my gosh, we're recording a podcast right now, but thank you for the raid.
How many more questions we got to do?
Just a few. Calm down, it's fine.
I need a wee.
Oh, you can go wee.
And it's boiling.
You go wee first, and we take a rant. Yeah, there's an ice pop in the fridge.
I don't want ice pop. I've already had sugar
It's
today.
not that sugary if you're hot.
I had a fruit. I had pineapple, apple, ginger, and turmeric.
That sounds unreal.
Juice.
Oh yeah, go on, give us
Sorry
a
about
hump.
that. Didn't mean to brush up on you.
Oh,
Ah.
oh.
Bullset.
Yeah. Yeah. As I was saying, thank you for the raid, and as I was saying, yeah. So if you're someone who wants to, not even no, this is probably the best advice I can give is. Don't just think about your present, think about your future as well. So what you're doing right now, think about how that's going to impact you because you're not going to want to do what you're doing right now forever. I'm not going to want to be a host forever. I'm not going to want to stream forever. But if I cannot be a professional or a good person at what I do right now, I don't think I'm going to have much of a future, you know, after whatever I am doing right now. Same as being a pro player. Like if you are someone who is having difficulties in your real life situations, which I think is the root of toxicity, really. A lot of people that are toxic is because they're in a toxic environment themselves, where the people they surround themselves with are toxic, or people that treat them like a parent figure are toxic, or their friends are all toxic. Nobody is out of the womb as a piece of shit, you know? You don't just pop out of the womb as a racist little baby. Maybe some people are, but I don't think that's how it works. So I am sympathetic. A lot of the times I'm sympathetic to people's circumstances because I've also been in pretty bad environments or circumstances. But at the same time, if you have enough self-awareness to know that, I think you can break out of it. It's like so many different Valorant pros are good enough, but their attitudes and their mental and their toxicity really lets them down. And it's just sad to see. What is the theme of the podcast? It was meant to be if you are too old to go pro, but we kind of started to answer questions that are less about it. Twitch thumbnail kind of bait us or boasted. He's in the toilet. He's coming back. Don't worry. He's coming back. He's coming back. We will go for the next question, which is for me, and I'll come back to the one for Boaster. Is Copenhagen your first hosting gig with a crowd? What would it mean to you to host in a packed venue in Istanbul? Oh my gosh, Mo130. It is my first hosting in front of a crowd. I've never done it before. I'm really excited to do it. I'm really similar to you in a sense that I thrive in front of a crowd.
Oh, that's good.
I think I would do much better in front of an audience. Just from experience, like I love public speaking. I'm pretty good in front of other people, and I think it would actually help me. You feel the same, like you like playing in front of a crowd.
Yeah, I mean,
you have a crowd buff.
I have the crowd buff,
which is very fanatic of you.
I like playing on stages.
Yeah.
I like playing on stages.
You do. Question for Boaster. Let's answer this one from Hassan. What books would you recommend to anyone?
Oh, what books?
Mm-hmm.
Well, like performance books.
No, I guess just like reading books.
I like
literature.
Patrick. No, actually, I won't say
Rufus?
that one. Yeah, it was
No,
that one.
you like Brandon Sanderson.
Brandon Sanderson.
Yeah.
I liked
the
Mistborn and the King Killer Chronicles.
Yeah.
I liked, what's that one I read with the Thieves of Loch Lamora?
Yeah, Thieves of Loch Lamora.
The Lies of
Loch
Lamora. That series is unreal.
That's
I like
your
that
favorite.
one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Read that. I've been reading recently.
Basically, he likes sci-fi or fantasy fiction.
I love escapism.
You love things to do with like magic or wars, politics, drama.
Yeah, drama.
Yeah, that's your kind of thing.
Love.
Yeah, I think
There's
sprinkled in there.
There's love in there, and I always want the character to be with the character.
Red Rising was a good series as well.
Red Rising, yeah.
We like that. You're currently reading the one about the Earth, whatever it's called.
Yeah, that one's called, I don't know.
You also read the
Obelisk Gate or something.
Yeah. You also read the series where they play like D&D or some shit. Where he's like in a magic school.
Oh yeah, that was called. And that was like it was called like the Ascendium 1, Ascendium 2. It was something to do with magic. Yeah, it was like a, can't remember what it's called.
Yeah, those ones. This one is for Broster. How deep do
Arcane Magic.
Arcane Magic.
Yeah, I think it was like Arcane Magic or something.
Jemkin asks, how deep do you think Iceland would have gone if Brave, AF and Durka were playing?
I have no idea, really. The competition was so high at that point, and I think, like...
Sounds like he would love Shadow and Bone. We watched the TV show. You didn't really like
Shadow
that.
and Bone. I mean, Shadow and Bone, the just some of the acting choices or the script was just so
The main actress we weren't a big fan of, were we? Although we liked representation. We stand representation in this house.
Yeah, we do.
We love that. But I thought her
I
acting
think it was
a
the
bit
script
stiff.
for me. I can't remember. The script was. I hate scripts that are just feeding you easy. Like it's
Yeah.
like, oh, this is the next thing that's gonna happen. Oh, we know that because you just told us. You don't
That's
have
why
to
The Boys is so good.
Yeah,
we like The Boys. The
yeah.
exposition is done in a good way in The
when
Boys.
people just explain
Yeah.
stuff to you, it's so like, oh, I don't need this explaining. Like I'm smart.
When they treat you as if you're stupid, basically. Yeah.
Honestly, with Brave Earth and Durka, I think we would have got far. I believe we could have won it. But it honestly hard to say. The competition was so high. But this event, I'm really believing that we're gonna win it.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, obviously.
Fingers crossed. If Fnatic make grand finals, Prayage, the enforcer asks, what team would you like to face? Defending champions Optic or Revenge on Zeta or Crew? Zeta are not going to be there, sadly. It will be Northception. I think you want to play Paper X.
Optic? No, I want to play Optic.
Oh, I thought you wanted to play Paper X.
I know. You want to shut down NA, don't you?
Yeah, true.
That's the fun thing.
You're going to do the Plane 2.0.
Yeah, we're going to Plane 2.0. No, but yeah, I'd like to play Optic because they're the previous winners. I'd like to get Revenge on Crew draw on the way. I'd like to get Revenge on Crew on the way. Mm-hmm. And obviously Zeta, but they're not there this time, so that's sad.
That is sad. Do you cast games, Yinsu? And if you do you like that more or casting from Ocean? I tried it once. I hated it. I'm not very good at casting. My brain does not work fast enough, I think. And I don't think I'm a very good caster. Yeah. I need preparation. I like doing stuff with a lot of preparation, and I like dramatic storytelling. I think with casting, I don't have enough time to build stuff up and to be a drama queen. So I struggle, yeah.
And it's just so hard to talk.
It is hard, yeah. That's why I admire like Pampok and Mitch and Tom so much, because they're so good at it, you know? They make it seamless, effortless. For Boaster, where are you studying when trying to go pro, like uni? If so, how did you balance it to keep a healthy lifestyle? You never went to uni because you're 27 now. You're old. Some people think you're still 18, so they're like, are you a uni?
I didn't go to uni because I didn't want to spend money and then be in the debt.
Good choice. I came out of uni with a lot of debt. Yeah.
But it was only because like wherever I was going to study at uni would not take any priority over my gaming. So like, what's the point if I'm not going to go full hands in, like, you know, like I put all my eggs in the uni basket. We couldn't do that. I actually did a little short course at this arts place in my like, it was like a diploma. I couldn't finish it.
I remember you told me.
Yeah, I did like.
You said everyone else is really good.
1.5. Yeah, I did like 1 term, 2 terms. Everyone else was so good, working so hard, and I was just thinking, I don't even like this. I was just trying to go pro at the time, and I was just like, this was just me kind of trying to get some ideas of other careers, and I was just like, I decided that I'm not. I like art, but I can't draw to save my life. I was actually quite good at the photography though. The photography person said that.
I for sure believe you. Hey Noisy, hey Aika, and thank you for the sub, Mugo Kupo. Appreciate you. Welcome back.
I just kept thinking like, when I get home, I'm gonna be going doing this, doing that, and then on days that I didn't have the school or whatever, I was like, nice, I get to stay home. Mum's off my back for a bit. But other than that, I was just getting jobs, random jobs, trying to build up money, living at home. Once I built up enough money, quit the job, try and go pro, use it, and just play. It was I was just very fortunate to have a very supporting family, and like, even though my mum was like, well, get off the game, like you need to get out there and work, you know, I'm worried. Even though she was worried, I kept telling them like, I'm gonna go pro, and there's money when you go pro, even if it's a little, it doesn't matter. I just want to go pro, and eventually made it. My mum was like, as long as you're working or going out living life, then I'll allow you to play video games.
There's a lot of twerking questions. You just want to answer them all in one?
Should I just twerk?
No, you can not on my stream. I'm gonna get banned.
Actually, I won't do that because I don't want people to just be like twerk, and I'll be like, yeah, I'll twerk like a twerk monkey.
Yeah.
I gotta save it for the big things, you know, the big time. I gotta treat them, you know, when Reckless doesn't just do whatever. I wasn't trying to kiss you. You were trying to kiss me.
No, you were trying to kiss me.
The sex.
Do you remember that time you tried to kiss me and I was like, no?
Yeah, I do. It's last night.
No, it was before we were dating. Jake was like, can I... No, you leaned in and I went, ah! I went like that. I like blocked you.
Yeah, she like blocked me. She was
Yeah.
like, ah! I was like, oh my goodness, I'm never doing that again. Tried it again 1 hour later when she was ready.
No, I wasn't. It took there was like 3 weeks after that.
Yeah, it was 3 weeks. I was too nervous.
With y'all both working in esports but in different capacities, are there any ways you assist each other professionally in any consistent manner? From Shazomba.
Yeah, of
Shazumba.
course. So like we always, when Sue's having a rough time, she's the one.
I think it's been a collective effort from day one from both of us for each other.
Like it's always through the rough times. If I'm having a rough time, Sue often gives me a pep talk and I'm back on track. Or if Sue's having a rough time, I'm giving her kind of like pep talk as well, and it's like back on track. That's the short term of it. But there is lots of things that happen within the scene and with our kind of careers that we need a little bit of help or someone to talk to about, and they're just there to provide emotional support. And that's kind of that's why it's really important to have like a friend or like anything really. You could be a dog for like something to talk to and like help you express yourself, because communication and expressing yourself is really key in this industry.
Yeah.
I think in work colleagues to having yourself some work colleagues where you can actually talk to them and be like, I don't like this, and them accepting it and understanding and be like, okay, yeah, I see, let me work on this. Oh, by the way, I don't like this from you either, and you're like, okay, so
that's rare though. That's really
it's really rare because everyone is really self-conscious.
Everyone's very defensive, and
no, I'm not.
A lot of egos get bruised, I think from us, like someone or dog and acres right in there in chat, but I feel like in the beginning when you were trying to go pro and you were making it, I think it was probably the most amount of time that I put in to try and help you to go pro and try and help you make it, like being the team manager for Summon, like doing all the admin stuff, talking to orgs, getting all that sort of, being your manager, helping your social media, doing content, helping the boys with interviews and stuff.
Fortunately, I don't need that help anymore.
Yeah, not anymore. I think in the beginning we all had to. Well, I had to put the time in. But then I wouldn't have been able to be here without you, because I feel like I had my game knowledge and my insight information was like heavily escalated because I watched you play so much and I asked you so many questions like every day, that I feel like I was ahead of probably a lot of other talent, just because I could ask you any questions about the game at any time of day. And I've never missed a single one of your games since day one. I have not missed a single Boaster official since the beta. Since the very, very, very tournament. Twitch Rivals was the first tournament you played in, and I've witnessed every single round, bullet, map series that you've ever played. And I think because I watched so much Valorant, by the time that I was doing like First Strike and stuff, I reckon I watched more Valorant than anyone
You're like
else.
the historian.
I just watched every freaking game of Valorant by that point, that I was so on it, that I knew everything.
European scene.
Yeah, and I knew like strats, and I knew like what to look out for, and I also stole all of your stuff and I use it for ranked.
What? Don't show them that.
Yeah, I steal all of your Viper Wars and stuff. It's funny because when people were stealing your Viper Wars, I'm like, they stolen my Viper War I use for ranked. But it's just yours. We're going to answer 2 or 3 more questions, then we're going to end it.
Yeah, it's very hot under these.
Don't you get tired of watching Valorant? Of course we do. It's really tiring, but it's really hard to complain about that when we have one of the best jobs in the world. Yeah. I think it's like a silly thing to complain about.
I think it's just like,
some people are literally like in sewers, like moving shit around, and you know, or like doing really rubbish jobs where they're away from their families, earning very low pay, being unhappy. So I think we're very lucky. Yeah, so it's very little to complain about.
That's why
extremely little to complain about.
If anything, when the going gets tough, you kind of got to bring yourself out of it and be like,
we have a roof to live under, you know. Yeah. Like we're really, really lucky.
Gotta be grateful.
Yeah. VOD review does get really boring. It numbs your mind after a while, but it's such a small price to pay to do what we do.
I just want to win. Yeah. So that's the incentive.
Yeah, and also, like you said, the incentives are so high. So like, if I don't VOD review myself, I'm never gonna get better. And if I don't VOD review like other regions, I'm gonna turn up an event knowing nothing. I think there have been some talent, I would say, probably don't know very much, and they've paid the price. It shows they pay the price of not knowing very much. So I don't want to embarrass myself, and I don't want to.
Could you hear me saying about it? You hear me saying like, I don't listen to this. I'm putting music on.
Yeah, like you have your preferences, but I could never turn up at a desk, out of any desk. Like you guys watch me at MSI, like I could not turn up at MSI and not know stuff. Like you watch me prep for MSI for like the week before I went there. I prepped every single day, and I would be doing myself and the show and the people that believed in me and hired me a massive disservice if I turn up on the day and I didn't know everything. Knowing some stuff is not good enough in my opinion. I have to know everything. Even if it doesn't show, even if I don't use it, and even if I don't need to use it, I would not feel comfortable being on a desk where I didn't know everything. That's just me as a person. I think you're the same. Like you would not be okay to be half-assing your preparations, even if it's boring.
Yeah, I mean,
like you won't be able to sleep.
Never again am I gonna do crowd interviews. Oh my goodness, that was the most stressful thing I've ever had to do. Almost as stressful. I hated waitering when I was a waiter as well.
Hey, I was a waitress too.
I hated that.
I didn't mind it too much because I just got free food and spoke to people.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't mind speaking to people, but sometimes when it was busy, it was just too much going on. Yeah.
You don't like busy places. That's why you don't like crowds. Like in the middle of a crowd.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah. I mean, it varies, I guess. But yeah, you're right, I think.
Now, Zeta isn't here. Who is Bosa's favourite for Copenhagen except Fnatic?
Don't know. Paper X, I guess.
I would have thought FPX, but I mean, if Suigetsu can't go...
my fave... No, there's one about favourite personalities, right?
No. Faves for Copenhagen except for Fnatic. Why would your favourite be Fnatic?
Why would my favourite be Zeta?
You love Zeta.
Yeah, so favourite team. Not favourite winning. Favourite chances of winning, isn't it? Like favourite...
My bad. Okay, yeah.
So it'd have to be Paper X.
Yeah, go on then.
But favourite team to win, I guess it'd be us.
Besides you.
I honestly don't know. Optic, I guess. We'll see. I mean, it's hard to say. And you never know what's going on international until you get there. And they all start banging you out. Or vice versa. My
favourite team is Gambit.
What about...
My heart literally breaks every time I know I'm going to an event without Redgar. It genuinely upsets me. It upsets me as much as it upsets me when you can't go.
Yeah, I like Redgar. But...
I love Redgar. Redgar is my boy. Redgar makes everything better. He just makes it more friendly. Do you remember that time you told me he put his arm around you and he was massive? And you were messaging me. You were like, Redgar put his arm around me.
First time you meet Redgar and he's just coming in like...
He's huge.
Yeah. Just puts you out. You're just walking. He just puts his arm around you as you're walking like your best buds. And I'm just like...
He's the best. Honestly,
hold me.
It just breaks my heart because they're all so nice and they're all so friendly and they're so good. And the atmosphere is just not the same. Like when M3C are there, I look forward to going into work because I get to see Redgar and we get to hang out and Chronicle as well and Nats and we just get to chat. And they're not there, so it almost just feels like you're going to land with your friends. Oh, someone reclaimed the anime titty one. It's a voice. It's a voice.
What does it say? Anime titties.
Yeah, it's something about buying anime titties. Yeah, he's the best.
He
really is the best.
Can I listen to that?
Why?
Just for science.
You want some anime titties?
No,
it's who ordered all of these anime titties. Yeah, same as Paper Rex. Having Benkai there is so much fun. Oh my gosh. Here comes the party! Do all my sound alerts. What do you think of Copenhagen groups? I think it's a little bit...
insane, isn't it?
I think it's a bit unbalanced.
It was crazy.
I think putting all of the Asian teams in one group is a bit like...
Yeah, I think that...
I'm not sure how I feel about that.
I think they needed to... I mean, it's so difficult to know. They needed to swap Loud and Northception, I think.
Yeah.
Just because Loud were in the finals with Optic, and then...
It doesn't make sense. Yeah. Everyone's redeeming sound alerts all of a sudden. I agree with you. I think they should have... I think Loud and Optic shouldn't be in the same group.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a rematch we want later on. Not that early, in my opinion. All right. You guys are getting out of hand with all of your... Right. Oh my god, why is everyone... We're trying to record it. Okay, we're going to end it here because it's going to be bad for our YouTube. It's not going to be good for our YouTube. Yeah, we're going to get copyrighted to death. So we're going to end the podcast here. because people be trolling me now in the chat, and I don't want to get my channel taken down.
No, look, I got webbed fingers.
We all have webbed fingers, don't we?